So, I guess we're going. Welcome to Creative Third Thursdays. Good afternoon. I'd like to begin by recognizing that we are located on the traditional and unceded lands of the... Am I going to have to take that away from you?
Yeah, I think you're going to.
I don't even do that to my students. Actually, that's not entirely true. When I first started teaching, I had a moment where, like, if your phone rings, I'm answering it. And I did that once and then never again because that was not a good thing. Their mother did not think it was funny. Okay. We are on the traditional and unceded lands of the Stalo people. And we are live. Unless you are watching this recorded, then it's by all measures not really live. So it's probably better if I just say, we are live to tape from, tape. Do we still record things on tape? Okay, that doesn't make any sense either. Live to hard drive? Live to the cloud. Yeah. Live to does it really matter? I suspect not. So whether you're watching this live, you're here in person, or you're watching it from a recording, this is the amazing Cowork Chilliwack Studio C, and welcome to Creative Third Thursdays. Thank you. Thanks. Keep them on their toes with that, Tim. And thank you to our host, Tim McAlpine, and the rest of the Cowork Chilliwack team.
There's more than one?
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of people to keep this thing going, actually. It's just Tim's the one that wants all the credit. Sorry, I said I was only going to pick on Jeff today, Tim, but I changed my mind. Oh, live mics. And if you haven't been to Cowork before, you really do need to come and check it out. Come to a Creative Third Thursday, if only to wander around these rooms in awe of what they are capable of doing and what they are capable of helping you to achieve. Now, if you look on the screen, we see the members of the Chilliwack Creative Commission. And I am Jeff Edwards. I'm not Jeff Edwards. Jeff's your regular host, and I'm stepping in for him today because he wasn't able to be here. I don't know where he is. He might be filming. I heard maybe Mexico, but I mean, he could be defending himself in court. No one really knows for sure. But he's not here, and I'm here, and I'm not Jeff. I really probably should have edited that script better. But regardless, our Creative Third Thursday committee is stoked to see each and every one of you here at Creative Third Thursday. For more, you can look at the Creative Commission and everything that we do at the businessinchilliwack.com website. Now, I hope you've been able to make up that hour of sleep that was stolen from us on Sunday night. Now, one upside, of course, is that it stays light later, which means I can actually start later in the day and still get in a full round of golf. And I got to be honest with you, I need those little victories right now. It is a tough part of the semester. Now, wave if this is your very first time at Creative Third Thursday. Oh, yay, actually, yay, sweet. Very nice to see you. We have two newbies here. And to tell you the truth, I had yay, sweet, nice to see you written in the script, and I was going to do it whether there was anybody new or not. But there actually was, so if that seemed a lot more genuine, then I probably should have just let you think I was acting really well. But Creative Third Thursdays is your monthly opportunity to meet other creative people that are in the area. You know, creative people getting together locally. You want to meet them. You want to find out what they do. You want to tell them what you do. You want to connect with each other and share some of these great ideas that you have. This is the place to do it. So, welcome, everyone. Plus, it's always a bit of a bonus. We have local brew or a soda or water, and they're free if you want one while you're here. And I know Jeff never opens it until after.
Right on. Woo! That's good.
Drink.
All right. I love it.
And with that in mind, let's get on with the show. Love you, Jeff. At Creative Third Thursdays, we introduce you to local creative people. The idea, again, is to get creative people together and see what conversations can happen. So last time we featured one of Chilliwack's truly most amazing people. He is a scholar and a gentleman. Oh, that's right, it was me last month. Nice. Our guest this time is local director, actor, singer, dancer, and renowned canine esthetician, Randy Newbury. Right. Randy started dancing and acting in his early teens, and since then he has starred in many different types of theatrical productions and television programs. He studied voice under the direction of Victoria Meredith at the University of Western Ontario. His love of dancing had him study ballroom dancing at the Fred Astaire Dance Studios, and he actually went on to teach dance professionally. I have had some private dance lessons as well, and he won't do it again, and I don't blame him. Because there was, actually, I think, drinking with that as well, but anyway. His love of the arts has allowed him to branch out and study flute. A flautist, right? Is that a flautist. And he has performed as a soloist with the Stratford Concert Band. He's an active member of the local theater community and the artistic director of Newbury Art Concepts, a theater company that he and his wife Susan own and operate. He occupies a seat on the board of directors for Secondary Characters. He also owns and operates The Dog Father, a dog grooming business that has successfully operated in Chilliwack for almost 15 years. And with all of that going on, I consider us very fortunate that he's made the time to be here with us today. It's going to be entertaining, and I hope it's also going to be interesting. So please, welcome Randy Newbury.
I'm supposed to have a hop in my step. Was that good?
Very nice to see you. Have a seat, good sir.
Thank you.
So, there's a bunch of things to talk about. I mean, probably the most important one, and we will get to it, is to talk about your production of Jesus Christ Superstar that opens in 2.5 weeks.
April 5th.
Okay, but let's go back.
Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about your journey, how you ended up here where you are. You said, as a teen, you got into dance and into theater.
Yeah.
So how did you get from that as a teen to here now? And you have 3 minutes.
I have 3 minutes. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you very much for having me. It's truly an honor to be sitting here with you and you wonderful people. This journey started. I went. High school. I grew up in a little hick town called St. Mary's, Ontario. My apologies to everybody from St. Mary's. But it was a very, high school in my day was very reading, writing, arithmetic. It had no drama program, no arts programs, nothing. So either you knew how to play hockey or you were smart. And that's the school that I went to. And we did.
Those are mutually exclusive.
Exactly. So I always felt like I never fit in any one niche. I was horribly, relentlessly bullied. And I was sitting in my grade 9 home form class, because high school back then was 9 till 12s. And my home form teacher, his name was Carl Zavankin, I'll never forget the man for as long as I live. He said, we're doing a production of Music Man, and I think this would be good for you, so you should come and audition. We're auditioning tonight. And I sat and I looked at this man, and he didn't know me from a hole in the ground. I think it was the second day of grade 9, and I said, okay. And I went and auditioned and did what I thought was I should be doing, and did it, got a part, met the most amazing woman I've ever met in my entire life, who is now my wife, and I was 15 years old. So that's how that started. And then from there it becomes, I met my family. I met a family that I never had in high school. My own personal family was not the most artistic family. There was nothing that my parents did. My mother studied dance when she was very young, but it was never a driving force in our family. So I always felt like I was left out of something. So when this came up, it was an opportunity for me to meet like-minded people as awkward as I was, people who didn't fit in, and I joined that group and owe my life to them. So when I did numerous shows with them, and back to back, between Stratford and St. Mary's. St. Mary's is a little about 15 minutes outside of Stratford, Ontario. And then opportunity came up. I studied dog grooming, and my instructor who taught me said, we're opening up a school in British Columbia. So we would like you to teach in British Columbia. And I thought, okay, I was young. It was energetic. I said to my wife, I phoned her. I says, so remember we were talking about change? And she said, yeah. I says, how about we move to BC and I teach dog grooming out there? And she said, okay. So we packed up our 2 kids at the time and came out here and worked in Surrey and did dog grooming for 10 years. Didn't do any theater because we had very young kids, and it wasn't until our kids were around 10 years old, and then we started getting involved with, and we moved to Chilliwack, and started getting involved with the local theater companies here, and it's been great ever since, and doing numerous shows in town here, and now I am being recognized for it and sitting here with you, you fine gentlemen. So that's how I'm here.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that idea of a theater family, because as someone actually who did play hockey, there is, there's hockey and there's other things, but there's nothing quite like the theater as far as family goes. It's amazing actually. It
is that sanctuary, that safe space for kids who didn't do the popular things, that didn't, at least when it was that for me when I was a kid. Now it's immensely more popular in schools now than it was whenever I was. So it was that space that I could go there and I felt accepted, I felt non-judged, I felt at ease, and you would stand on a stage and sing a song you never sang before in your life, and you weren't ridiculed, you weren't pushed away, you weren't walked away from. And it's addictive for those people.
Yeah. Well, so you've in the theater, you've done acting, you've done singing, you've done dancing,
choreography,
you've done directing and choreography. But it seems recently like you have done more than anything directing.
Yes.
What is it that keeps drawing you to the director's chair?
What fascinates me, what makes me feel incredibly satisfied is when you're sitting at home and you're thinking about a show, or you're reading a script, somebody throws a script in front of you and you read it and you start thinking about what you would do in this scene. How does this scene reflect in you? And you get these pictures in your head. I don't read a lot of books other than scripts, so I assume the books that I read, you would develop these areas that you assume these places look like that you're reading about. And so that's the same thing I do when I read a script. So it was like, when I feel really compelled to do something and you put it out that you're going to direct, is the people that come to you, the people that believe in you enough that say, yes, I am willing to take X amount of hours out of my already busy schedule, and I want to help you fulfill this vision, this what you think. Because I think from what you're telling me, it sounds neat and interesting, and I want to get involved. And it's the people that agree to do that and commit wholeheartedly, whether they be actors, whether they be costumers, whether they be set dressers, whether they be anything, any aspect of the theater, they give themselves of that time for me is one of the most satisfying things I have ever accepted into my life. And I'm drawn to doing that. It is nice to be an actor every now and then and not have to worry about the rest of everything as well, because you just go in there, you deliver your lines, and you develop your character. But as a direction aspect of it, it is incredibly fruitful for me to see these people who are going, what do you think? And I'm like, yes. And the fact that they're doing it for me is incredibly satisfying. And that's why I do it.
Yeah, it's amazing just the people that you get to work with. And again, I mean, especially at the local theater level, because they're just volunteering.
They're doing it for passion.
Yeah.
They're not doing it to pay for their kids' education. They're doing it for the passion of it, and they're doing it because it is something that they love to do. And whether this is a stepping stone for them to doing something professional, then so be it. But they're there for the same reason I'm there. I'm not getting paid for it. They aren't getting paid for it. They're doing it because they love it. And to me, that speaks volumes.
So what are some of the productions that you've been involved with over the years here in Chilliwack that people might be aware of?
In Chilliwack, we were when I was involved with the Chilliwack Players Guild, we did Drowsy Chaperone, which is a highlight in my head because we were we were wanting to do that show, but it wasn't licensable. It wasn't licensable for amateur audiences at that time. But we were on a wait list, and we presented "Kiss Me, Kate" first, and then that became available. And we were, I believe, the first or the second amateur theater company to do that show for an amateur audience after it finished professionally. So it was quite the honor. We actually got signed posters from the people who wrote it and everything like that. So that was one that I did. That was way back when. That's 12, 13 years ago. I did Sound of Music. I did Spelling Bee with secondary characters. Oh my goodness. I can't go into all of them. Bye Bye Birdie, Music Man, Oliver we did. There's lots of them. So
all musicals?
Mostly. I did Maggie's Getting Married, a Norm Foster play with the Guild, and I did a little pantomime, wasn't melodramatic, The Murder Room for Graham when I was working with them as a mentorship program.
So how do you approach it differently, like a musical and a non-musical production?
Well, it helps when people can sing. So I for some reason, I've always been connected to music, and when I sing, or if I'm singing for somebody else, or if I'm singing in the car or whatever, I find that I get more emotionally involved when I'm singing it than I am if I were to just stand there and say the lines or say the lyrics to the song. To me, I connect much more with it. So when I feel that way, I feel more connected to do a musical in that, and I feel I get my point across better and the vision I want to get when there's music involved with it. So, plus I like singing. It's fun.
So what are some of the issues, the problems that you have to deal with when you're trying to put together a big musical theater number?
There's always going to be, with any project anybody takes on, there's always going to be what you hope to achieve with it, and then there's roadblocks along the way, and how are you going to put out these little fires that come up. My philosophy is aim high and then settle, right? So what little things like finding, like if you're auditioning for a piece, or finding the right character for whatever piece you're choosing to present. As much as having a wonderful singing voice is important, you also have to be able to find that person who's willing to dig deep enough to find the meaning behind the song, and be able to realize that the song, as many people just think they stand there and sing a song, but it's actually pivotal to the plot, and it's pivotal to the character development that they're portraying. So to find the person that's willing to commit to that level is not an easy feat. But when you do find these people, and then you're about 50% there, then you have production aspects. I wanted to fly some people in some shows, and I wasn't allowed to do that due to regulations. And I get it. So you fake it, and you wing it, and you settle. And when I'm with experience, I've come to realize that if I'm looking at a piece, I kind of think, okay, so this is what I really want. This is what I would settle for, and I try to aim somewhere in the middle of that, and still be able to get across the message I'm hoping to get across with the piece. So, there's always obstacles. There's scheduling. You have these people that have regular lives, and they're donating their free time. But then you look at people have lives. They need to work. They need to spend time with their families. They need to spend time with their loved ones. So you can't blame them for that. But to get everybody in one room for an extended period of time is a feat on its own. So that is a huge obstacle that you have to deal with regularly. But it usually works out. So
have you been casting before, and you've had to make a selection between two singers for a part, mm-hmm. where one might have been, a superior vocalist, mm-hmm. and quite superior compared to the other person, but you felt the other person was a better performer. Mm-hmm. Have you cast that where it's not just the voice? Yes. I think it also it's situational to the piece that you're doing. If you're like, for example, when we did Bye Bye Birdie, we had kids, Oliver. We had 76 kids try out for this show, and we
I wouldn't say 76. We had 76 people total. We had over about 50 kids that came out and auditioned for the show. And these kids took all this time to audition and do everything. We didn't say no to any of them. We accepted them all. We accepted them all knowing that some of them would probably not be able to do it because of scheduling issues. But I wasn't going to be that first director who they prepared for to say, sorry, you're just not good enough. So when it comes to kids, I couldn't say no to them. So we took them all in. We had a cast of almost, we had 77 people in Oliver, because every kid needed that chance. Now, when you're looking at adults and depending on what character they're auditioning for, I have sacrificed vocal ability because I know that that person fits the character better. The other person that didn't get cast was most likely cast in another part. So it's not like they weren't rejected and said, we don't want you. We do want you. We just don't see you for this part. And how they respond to that is, most people are very agreeable with it. Some people says, well, I'm not committed to putting in all this time if I don't get that part. And you have to deal with those things. But, it's all done in good faith, and it's all done with no hard feelings whatsoever. And people walk away from that, and that's part of it, right? But for the most part, I look at, it's triple threat. I don't know if you've heard the term, singing, acting, dancing when you're dealing with a musical. Somebody who excels in all three is probably going to get the part that they're auditioning for, right? In community theater, to get that amazing person that can do those three very well is few and far between. So, we accommodate. And we do our very best.
Right, in community theater, those are the ones that you see in the lead roles of every production because they're really that good.
Yeah, that is true. There is a lot of people that tend to, say, why does this person always get the lead, or maybe somebody else should get a chance and stuff like that. And we do try to accommodate that as much as we can. We always tell people, it says, you should get your experience up. Keep going. Don't let one experience be the judgment for the entire for what you want to do with your life. Keep going, and then the people that do keep going, and those people that do get the experience, then they're they come along and they start getting the better roles. And it's all a process. It's not something that happens instantaneously. And the people who are getting the roles right off the bat are the people with the experience, So, it's a give and take, and everybody's, it's all about, it's a learning experience and a learning curve, so.
Okay. Well, your upcoming production is the iconic Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
Why do you want to take that on?
Why not?
Well, what is it particularly about this production?
It's a production that's near and dear to my wife and myself. We've been involved with the production. We've done it 3 times. This is from non-direction. We've acted in. I've been in it 3 times. Susan was in it twice, and it was a passion play that we've had for years. We've always said we wanted to do this show. We wanted to do this show. And everybody says, oh, you can't do that here, or you shouldn't do that there, or it's a male-heavy show. You're never going to get the men to come out to do it. And we never really, we disregarded those comments, because I believe if you're passionate about something and if you put 110% into it, you're going to get what you want. So the difficulties we had with doing the show is that we either had the venue and not the rights, or we had the rights and we didn't have the venue. We wanted the venue to happen at around Easter time. We thought if there's going to be an appropriate time to put this show on, that would be the time to do it. Secondly, Jesus Christ Superstar is just coming off of a 50th anniversary tour that when we applied for it the second time, we didn't get it because of that happening. So it's been a 5-6 year process that through the luck of the draw, when we finished doing Mamma Mia with secondary characters, and on 2 weeks before opening night, I just applied just for fun, because we knew that the space that we wanted to do it in was available, and they said yes. So I texted my wife and said, and I forwarded her the contract that says we have the rights on opening night. So it was like, do we do this? Is this it? Do we do this now? And we said, well, if we don't do this now, will we ever get the chance to do it again? So we said, let's go, and we did it. And it's a play that is, I enjoy it so much, because it tends to, it doesn't cater to any one person. Yes, if you are deep in faith, then you will appreciate this show. If you are not deep in faith and like rock music and like the concert feel that this music has, then you're going to love this show. If you are not of faith, I believe that this is also a show for you to see, to be entertained. It caters to everybody out there. It may seem like it only caters to one person, but if you actually see the show and see the way it has evolved in the last 50 years, it's catered to so many different groups, organizations, fields, genres, periods that anybody can get enjoyment from it. So,
and there's so many different interpretations of it.
Exactly.
So how do you approach it? Because I know that as someone that loves the show and loves theater, you've seen a bunch of them yourself. So then when
Yes.
you sit down, how are you able to go
Exactly.
and do something without going, oh wait, I'm taking that from this and that from this, or are you?
Well, there's always going to be iconic things that you're gonna want to, that people come to see the show for, right? But it's been around for 50 years. It's like, how do you do this so that it's different? So we sit down. Susan and I would always sit and hash things out and say, what about this or what about that? And we would have these enlightening moments to say, what if we did it like this? And many different ideas, themes come into mind. One theme that we thought about, we're not using, was a whole Dick Tracy theme. Everybody in trench coats and mobsters and that kind of a thing. You can do that. You can do that. There's nothing in this show that says you cannot do that. So we have taken 3 or 4 scenes that have been done typically the same way for as long as I can remember, and completely changed them up and made them different. And we're looking forward to the audiences to see what their reactions are going to be. It's great. It's going to be unbelievable.
Do you have those moments when you see a new production of it for the first time and they have done something and you go, I wish I would have thought of that?
Yes, and I kind of also see do certain ways to do it, and I says, oh, I wouldn't have done it that way. But, everybody's a critic, and yeah, you do, with any classic musical or any classic production of anything, there's certain elements of that show that, because it's been around forever, that people go to see for that purpose. So do we want to ignore those moments? Heavens, no, not at all. We don't want to, but we also want to not make it like everybody else's show. And when you're doing a show that's been done so many times, it's difficult to not piggyback on somebody else's idea. The longer you do it, the harder it becomes. I can honestly say that I've never seen one scene the way we're doing Herod's scene ever done any other way like that. So we're priding ourselves in that. And a couple of other scenes too that are different. It's just different.
Okay, so it opens on April 5th.
Yes.
At the Cultural Center.
Yes.
So
at the big theater, not the big one.
Yeah.
So we
3 weeks from yesterday. So it's starting to come together. What can people expect to see when they come?
It's the commitment that the actors have given me, and their willingness to immerse themselves in the emotion of this show. The show is loosely based on the last 5 to 7 days of Christ's life, and in this show, I chose to concentrate on the humanity of the man rather than the divinity of the man. Although the divinity is not ignored in this show at all, but the humanity of the man was. You don't read about that. There wasn't a book written by him. You never really knew how he felt, right? So I felt this was a great space to maybe present that, how the man felt. And it's incredibly emotional. It's incredibly riveting as to how we've chosen to present this in a way that is not glossed over. There's not. There will be depictions of suicide, which is typical for this show, and there will be some violence involved with this show that should be shown if you're going to tell the story correctly. So it is a show that hopefully will keep you on the edge of your seat, will make you want to see more, and leave with a sense of revelation about a different point of view. And I think that's what I'm aiming for.
I'm very excited.
Good.
Can't wait.
Because you're in it.
Yes, but not in the way that anybody thinks.
No.
So a little aside, Randy and I are friends, and we've been friends for a while, and I've always said to Randy, who loves musicals, that I hate musicals. And I actually don't hate musicals. I really love musicals. Sound of Music is one of my favorites. But I always say that I hate them because I have zero talent for singing. And I want to be in musicals and I want to sing and I can't, and I get frustrated, so I just say I hate it. So he was actually in The Drowsy Chaperone. There was one small part at the end of the show that was a speaking line only and no singing, so he cast me for that.
I did.
My first
You
and
were
only
brilliant
experience
at
in a
it.
musical.
The first time I read it, there's a part, it's the superintendent of the building where this gentleman lives, comes in and interrupts the whole show, and in more ways than just walking in a door. The whole show, you have to know the show, but there's not a spoken, not a sung word in the whole thing. And the first person I thought of was Darren. Darren, if you don't know, is an amazing actor. And when I presented, I said, Darren, would you please do this for me? And he said, sure. And it was amazing. It was great.
But I'm not acting in Jesus Christ Superstar.
No, you are not.
No, I am playing in the orchestra.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. And
you were one of the very first persons I asked to be in my orchestra. The orchestra in this show is heavily involved with the show. It's not something that they're not stuffed into a pit. We're actually having them on stage, and we're actually having them interact with the cast members as the show is taking place. So the iconic guitar solo that happens at the beginning of this show, the first person I thought of was Darren. So when he agreed, I said, thank you, and now he's completely immersed himself into it, and I'm tickled pink, and I know that nothing will make it better.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm so excited to.
I'm glad you're in it. I'm glad you're in it.
I literally can't wait for people to see this.
Yes, it's going to be tomorrow. We introduce tomorrow, Saturday, introduce orchestra and cast for the very first time, and both sides of the spectrum are equally as excited. So it's a great step forward.
Right. Well, just a reminder that the next Creative Third Thursday will be on April 20th, and the guest will be, Tim McAlpine. So, mark your calendars. Oh, Tim. Randy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It was quite the honor. I was thrilled. I'm tickled. Thank you.
So, Randy Newbury, everyone, and just a reminder to get your tickets for Jesus Christ Superstar. It opens on April 5th at the Cultural Center. So, who's thirsty?
I am.
I
All I have
actually
is
am
water.
too. There's cold brews waiting for you in the lobby. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Cheers.
Awesome.